Hello, hello. Welcome back,
Hi.
babe. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just chilling here on my bed.
Oh, I'm in my bedroom too. This is what we do on our podcast radio show now. We just sort of find spaces in our house where we can hide from
Yeah.
children and boys.
Oh yeah. Well, last week your son made a great appearance. That was awesome.
Yep. Let him know that I'm doing this again, and he can stay in the other part of the house.
Exactly. Exactly. So how was your week so far?
It's been good. Just still doing stuff around the house.
Nice.
Started working on the outside stuff, just cleaning up and kind of laying low. Like I don't know. It's sort of, now we're kind of getting into this weird stage of where I'm really starting to kind of get used to how things are, how,
Totally.
so I'm kind of wrestling with that because I don't know if I'm happy about it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I was cleaning out my closet yesterday and organizing stuff in my dresser, and I'm like, wow, like I've purchased a lot of like leggings and track pants. And I did wear like real pants, like denim, like jeans, the other day. Surprisingly still fit.
Nice. It's always good.
So, and they were like white, which clearly I have not worn them since last summer. So I was like, these are interesting. Like, because this is interesting because I've not been, well, I shouldn't say I'm not physical because I'm always doing stuff. Like I'm not sitting on the couch and doing nothing, but I am eating a lot and not really paying attention to what I'm eating.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're going for walks or we'll, go on the bike and stuff like that. So I guess I'm getting something, but maybe it just feels like I'm not doing anything. Like maybe I just feel like I should be on my 600-pound life and maybe I'm doing okay, but yeah.
Hey, it's a good sign that you're putting on summer pants that fit.
Yeah, from last year. So I'm like, yeah. So I'm feeling like I'm not freaking out.
Yeah, that's
I'm
good.
just kind of where I was last year when I was still complaining.
Right. So you're the same. It's all
Yeah,
good.
so nothing's really changed. Nothing's really changed. That's
No.
about it. Yeah, no, today we're going to be eating. We're actually celebrating like Father's Day today for Dave because his son's home and you probably hear him yelling in the background. And then he's with his mother for the weekend. So, and I'm leaving for the cottage, so no one's going to be home for Father's Day. So we're doing it today. And yeah, Marcus and I have little treats planned. So there'll be some eating today.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's love. Doesn't matter when you celebrate it, you're celebrating it. So that's cool.
I know. He doesn't even care. He's like, whatever, it's Wednesday. It's all good.
That's all right.
Yes.
I'm half asleep, I think, still. I'm just feeling so mellow.
I am very tired, which we're going to talk about today. I actually had to wake up very early to go to my sister's house this morning. And so, yeah, I'm exhausted. But for those of you who know me, know that I don't nap. I never nap. I very rarely relax. If you ask me what show I'm watching, 9 times out of 10, I'll tell you nothing because I don't sit. I don't watch TV. I don't really chill in the evening. It's like I just can't stop. I'm a machine and I don't stop. I sometimes even have a hard time sleeping. And maybe it's a good thing because I probably would weigh 600 pounds if I didn't. It's just, yeah, like even for me to sit down and watch a movie is very difficult. And so, yeah, it's very interesting. So this past weekend,
Was this something that bothered you about yourself? Like, were you kind of questioning, like, why can't I just sit and chill?
yeah, but then I realized I've been like that, I don't know, all my life, but for most of my adult life. So it's really, really interesting. And so I was feeling, now mind you, home, for the last couple of years, as everyone knows, because I've mentioned it a million times, is not has not been a relaxing place because we've just been it's just been a work. This house has just been a project. And
Right.
you know, we take little breaks and then we start again, but there's a lot to be done. And so, and I find now with COVID, when everyone's home all day, every day, all the time, it's just nonstop work because you're constantly cleaning, laundry, dishes, because the house ain't getting a break because everyone's
But
using.
you should thrive in that situation, though. Really, that's what you love, right? You love to
Yeah,
just.
I do, but then I get burnt out too. So, a girlfriend of mine had contacted me and said, "Hey, like there's a spa that's like a weekend getaway sort of spa." So she's like, "Let's go." And you know, I was like, "You know what? Yeah, this might not be a bad idea. Just her and I, you know, 2 nights away and just, you know, spa treatments and just like it's all sort of like inclusive. So all the meals are gourmet, they're made for you. It's very high end, very nice. And the
Nice.
best thing about the spa is you get to wear robes like all day, all night, even to dinner, lunch. So I am like, this will be beautiful. So we did this weekend, it was great. And then yesterday, or the day I came home, I was really, really exhausted. And Dave's kind of like, really? Like, how are you tired? Like, you're just in a goddamn spa.
Yeah.
And yesterday, I actually like passed out. And even when I woke up, I felt so groggy. And it was like really brutal. Like, I even just like getting in the car, I had to run some errands. I almost felt like I could fall asleep at the wheel or fall asleep while in the store. Like, it was that heavy. And then I finally was like fighting it, fighting it, fighting it. And then I just gave in and I crashed on the couch, which never happens. And
Right.
so I was talking to some people, and I actually had a counseling session yesterday over the phone. I was talking to my therapist and, you know, telling her about my weekend. Obviously, she wants to know what's going on. And I told her about some of the services I had. And then she's like, totally makes sense why you feel the way you do. So, the services I did, I think we did like 2 a day, 1 or 5, I can't remember, during the whole weekend, but I got like these different massages and whatever. And then the day I was leaving, no, sorry, was it the day I was leaving? Yes, it was the day I was leaving. So Sunday. So at 9:30 in the morning, I didn't leave till 2:30. So at 9:30 in the morning, I had a Reiki session. Now,
Very specific.
so Reiki, I like, okay, I've had Reiki done before, probably like year and a half ago. Don't know too much about it, but I was like, in my mind, I thought Reiki was just like, oh, it relaxes you. It does all this, you know, it's going to make you feel better. Because I did all these different massages, and there's only so many massages I can do, but I
Right.
want to have another treatment. So by definition, Reiki is like, I guess, alternative medicine for energy healing, palm healing, hand-on healing. It's like a universal energy. So it's basically like moving, you're basically laying there and they're placing their hands like on different like maybe your head, your stomach, by your feet, your legs, or whatever, and you're laying there for an hour. And the first time I had it at a different spa, the girl was talking to me like throughout the whole thing, and it was very interesting. It was almost more like a reading. It was very interesting. This woman said nothing.
Mm.
And so at the end of it, which was like an hour, she says to me, "How do you feel?" And I was like, I guess like a little relaxed, whatever. I feel okay. And she said, "The message I received for you was don't rush, be patient."
Mm.
And that's all she said. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, "Does that mean anything to you?" And I'm thinking in my head, well, there's so many things it could mean. So
Yeah.
room, and then I was kind of disappointed because I'm like, "You don't rush, be patient." And I'm like, bingo, a light went off. And it was funny because I was texting my sister-in-law who's taken a couple levels of Reiki, and a couple of my friends that did it. My niece has done it before because she's a naturopath and is into it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that is my whole life. I'm just go, 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 go. Like, you know me, I'm just like a hamster. So I'm like, don't rush, be patient. And I'm totally that person. Like, I want it now. I wanted it yesterday. I wanted it like a year ago. Like I don't stop. So I think
Right.
that was really, really interesting. So anyway, so I get home, I'm feeling like really exhausted, like even driving, because I drove, it was like an hour and a half from, an hour and a half from the spa to my friend's condo, and then another hour from her condo to my house. So I had a bit, like about 2.5 hour drive, which is no big deal because it's like 3 hours to my cottage and I do it
Right.
no problem. But I was really exhausted. Well, speaking to my therapist yesterday, she's like, of course. She's like, Reiki is, it's moving the energies. Like she's shifting things around. And she's like, the fact that you feel the way you feel is completely normal and makes sense. And so my girlfriend had gotten that treatment the day before me, and she's pregnant though, early stages. And, I talked to her actually this morning about it, and she's like, yeah, like I felt it too, but I don't know if it's because, I'm
Right.
expecting or whatever. So anyway, it was really, really interesting. And so, yeah, so now I want to go back like in a month or so to someone else, maybe at a different spot, to see if I still have that same effect. So I don't know much about Reiki. So if any of our listeners are into it or do it or can like sort of like help me understand a little more, please.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
feel like I'm sort of like on this like journey of learning about these sort of alternative or maybe not so traditional healing with everything I'm doing. Which
Which is
brings
so
me
cool. I think
forward.
that's an amazing way to look outside of the box with that stuff, because
Yeah,
I think we focus so much on, you know, matters of the heart, right? The
yeah,
pain, or, you've lost someone
yeah.
to, they passed, your breakups, like all those things that really tie into our emotional well-being, right? So
Yes.
I think it's amazing that I want to learn more about this. I want to try
So
this
you've
because
never done Reiki before.
I haven't.
Maybe
I,
that's something we need to book.
yeah, I think that would be really
There's
interesting.
actually, now, I mean, you can get it done anywhere. The first one, like my first experience was so great. It was actually done at Langdon. And they bring a woman in like to actually do it. Like she's not there all the time. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I want to do research to kind of get like good ideas of like who is like amazing at it, because I would love to
Yeah.
try it again and just see if I am noticing, a difference. But
Mhm.
sort of, it's not the same. But while we're sort of on this alternative healing, journey here or topic today, um, it's interesting because in my journey of healing, since losing my husband, I have seen different therapists. And so
Right.
I did start with this one in downtown Toronto. One of my best friends actually recommended me, a girlfriend of hers who had gone through some stuff in her life, had used this woman in particular who's very well known in Toronto, in particularly by University of Toronto, I believe, and has very intelligent but very spiritual psychotherapist.
Okay.
And so I was seeing her for a while. But as I moved further away from the city, it was just the distance was too much. And I think at some point in your journey, it's good to sort of, you know, leave some experiences behind and start new ones with others. And I have done that, and it's been great. Um, and she had made different comments to me as she was getting to know me and my story and my journey. And this particular woman, and it kind of sounds a little bit, I don't want to say crazy because it's not crazy, but I've just never really been open to a lot of this other type of healing, I guess. I shouldn't
Okay.
say open. I never experienced it. It was never sort of, and it's funny because after I lost James, I found myself being pulled in
Into it.
these different directions. And it could be, people recommended it or whatever. But I just felt like for someone who was never really looking into these types of therapies, like for some reason, it was like my journey was leading me, like something was pushing me down these paths towards these people.
Well, when you're looking to heal and you're looking to get answers, right? Like, how do
Yeah.
you move forward? How do you feel good again? There's so many things that you would feel in that situation that
Yeah.
I think only makes sense that you're kind of open to new things, you
Yeah.
know?
And for me, I was just kind of surprised because I know people that have gone through traumas, and, it's just a matter of them going to a therapist, popping their prescription, and they do what they got to do. Where me, it was sort of like opposite. It's like I would meet with this person, and then I would be going this way to this person, and it was just like almost like a ping pong. Like, it was very interesting, or a pinball machine. And I'm getting thrown, and it's into the hands of these different. They all happen to be women. There was one gentleman actually, but it was very interesting. So throughout this journey, you know, I'm kind of struggling. Like, I'm getting these tools and these practices, but I'm struggling. I'm not understanding it, or I'm getting too emotional, or I'm this, I'm that. So I'm feeling like there's something else, there's something bigger, there's something more, somebody's not catching something. And throughout the years, I've worked with family doctor, psychotherapist, psychiatrists, grief counselors, like you name them, I've tried them. And so it took and you know, my trauma doesn't stem from James. For those who don't know or haven't listened to our other podcasts, you know, I lost my father to suicide before when I was 15 years old, in grade 9, and I'm the one who found him. So that's where my initial trauma started. And then losing my husband after a year and a half of marriage unexpectedly. So it's there. This is what you're working with, okay? And
it's a lot.
yeah, and so I do work with a couple, like I've done everything, DBT therapy, everything, okay? And so I'm still feeling, I still have my days where I'm just like I have great days and I love my life and everything's great, but then you still have days where you're feeling like there's something, I can't get over this hump. So my therapist, current one, psychotherapist, she says to me one day, you need to I'm going to send you a quiz. I want you to answer all these questions, and I want you to give me your score. Like, just whatever the number is, like, is it 15, 16, whatever.
Yeah.
I do it. I send it back to her. She's like, this is it. I got it. I got you. And I'm like, what do you got, girl? Because at this point I had been diagnosed with, you know, throughout the journey, I've been diagnosed with stress, anxiety, depression. I can't remember the terms for some things.
A lot of shit, clearly.
A lot of shit. I've had ADHD thrown at me. I've had PTSD thrown at me. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And then I guess sort of on an alternative medicine, medical, however you want to call it, she's like, you are an extroverted empath, 100%. And I'm like, oh, extroverted, what? Like, what? So she's like, extroverted empaths. She goes, empaths are usually very introverted. She's like, extroverteds are rare. And she goes, they're very, very special. She goes, you're an extroverted empath, 100%. So this is all very new to me. Like, I actually still need to reference things here because I'm just learning about it myself. So an empath is someone who has like an extremely reactive neurological system. So we don't filter the same, or sorry, our filters aren't the same as, I guess, as the average person.
Okay.
We can't, we're so overly stimulated. So it's very interesting. So once she gave me this diagnosis, she goes, you need to order this book, because she's like, you are sort of like your own worst enemy unless you can really understand what an extroverted empath is. And that's going to slowly start help. Once you understand what it is, then you can start doing the work to deal with life. And I'm like, okay. So she gets me to order this book.
Okay.
Empath Survival Guide. I've just received it. I've literally just kind of dabbled in it. So over the next coming weeks, if our listeners, you know, reach out and are interested in learning more about the journey, plus it just gives us something to talk about. But it's basically, it says it right there, life strategies for sensitive people. So when this book came, I was laughing so hard. I'm like, I am so not sensitive. You know me, I'm just like, whatever. 100% sensitive person. And I think I've even said it in previous shows where I'm like, oh my God, like I've become so much more sensitive since losing my husband and blah, 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 blah. So
well, there's different levels. Like that empath and sensitivity to me though would mean that you feel other people's energies and pain and everything else. It's not that like, oh, you know, you're sensitive, like, oh, you hurt my feelings all the time. It's
Yeah,
totally
so exactly. Yeah. So it's not like I don't think I'm gonna be like JoJo and have like a 1-800 number and you're gonna like call it like who
right.
knows? Maybe I'm just gonna like touch that. I'm gonna reach out and touch your soul and I'm gonna be like, guess what, Kathy? Michael Jackson's tap dancing on your head. I see him. It's right there. I think that'd
Lucky.
be really cool. I think I'm too scared to like open myself to that. I don't know if that's a path, but my first therapist after my husband passed did tell me she was like extremely like in tune with everything. And
Sorry.
she 100% said, you have the capabilities, you're just not opening them. So then I'm like, I don't want to see anything. I don't want to see anything. So I don't
That's
know.
interesting.
We will
That's,
see.
read
So
that book.
yeah, so I'm going to read this book. So I found this very interesting. So they have a list of different empaths. So the first one is physical. So I just want to go over some of them because it's interesting. So a physical empath, it says you're especially attuned to other people's physical symptoms and tend to absorb them into your body. You also become energized by someone's senses of well-being. So I can say yes and no for that, but there's emotional, and I'm 100% emotional. I actually did a physical and emotional empath like test. So I'm like mild, maybe a little bit moderate physical, but emotional, I am like right off the charts. So emotional is you mainly pick up other people's emotions and you can become a sponge for their feelings, both happy and sad.
Yeah.
100%. Then there's intuitive, telepathic, dream, mediums, plant, earth, animal, like there's all different ones. But the physical, there was a test that she had me do and it was yeah, it was pretty crazy. But yeah, this book is really it's crazy. It goes on into so many things, like what type of life, what areas of your life of are affected by being an empath, and there's anything like health, addictions, relationships, parenting, like it breaks into so many. But I've kind of just read like like pieces,
Okay. Okay.
and it's really interesting. So I mean, like one of the things with the emotional empath, like if someone comes to me with something and they're upset or they're happy, like I feel it. I feel
Yeah.
it. I feel it. And some people might say, well, yeah, that's easy. But no, it's like a really deeper level. Like it's to the point. And one of the points was you will literally like neglect you,
Right.
others. And when I look back, like I 100% would put my own, I do it with everyone. I put everything. And a lot of people, you'll hear people say, oh, she's so good. Like she puts herself before others, which is great, but I'm next level where it actually affects my life in a negative way to lift others up. And I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm this amazing person. It
No.
actually like it's actually like not the greatest thing. So
No. Like you're doing for others what most people would never do.
and
Right. Like
then
you're going next level all the time. Right.
and then
Where
when
some.
I don't get it back, not that I expect like people to do for me what I do for them, like piece by piece. But if I need someone and I was there for someone and then they just don't give me what I gave them, it ruins me. It destroys me. And some
Right.
people might say, well, yeah, that no. It's not like, oh, you know what, that really sucks. She didn't do it. I can't, it doesn't roll off my shoulder. It
Right.
stays
Hurts you.
like a gray cloud. So it's
Um,
very interesting. So I'm really interested to learn more about this. But yeah, just basically this author, I don't really know anything about her, but Judith Orloff, MD. She's a New York Times bestseller author, and she's a medical doctor who specializes in treating empaths in her private practice. So I don't know. This is who
I'm really interested in to find out if you can start giving me readings very soon. So work on your gift, okay?
well, yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily that, but I definitely think it's going to help me um, understand how to deal with myself
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
not being so sensitive. But
Most
that's basically,
important thing.
yeah. So yeah, it's been really interesting because even seeing like, you know, when I got the book and it's like life strategies for sensitive people, I don't look at myself as a sensitive person like, but I 100% am. So it's to be 41 years old and be like, oh yeah, I'm sent to think you weren't something like all your life, and then have somebody connect you to something and then you actually read it and feel it and know it. It's like,
Yep.
okay, I'm sensitive, which I don't even like saying because I don't like to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you need to get comfortable with it because it does have different meanings, right? So,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know, don't let it bug you.
Yeah.
Don't let it get to you. Hey, don't be sensitive about it, okay? You're being
Well,
really sensitive.
well, you know what's so funny? So here I am engaged to the most like, I shouldn't say non-sensitive because no, he does have a little bit of, he's a guy too, and guys are just annoying
He's
sometimes.
he's just very practical. He's very like matter of fact.
Oh, like I could be like, and it's so funny because I'm like, don't say that anymore, because he'll be like, stop being so sensitive. Now I'm like, you
Oh
can't
yeah.
say that anymore.
Yeah.
I am a extroverted empath on my journey of trying to figure out how to deal with my sensitive nature.
You got it. You got it.
But I'm like, oh my God, you're like the worst person for me right now, because I'll be upset about something and he'll be like, oh my God, am I being so sensitive? Like, who cares? Why are you letting that bother you? And I'm like, you can't
But
say that.
that's what, two different personalities I think is so important
Yeah.
because, if you were both like that, you guys would just probably be just like, in the fetal position, crying every day, holding, accomplishing nothing. So,
I know.
you need someone to kick your ass and you need to settle his.
Well, it was so funny because, we got these pets, and then like he said to me the other day, because I love these pets, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I love Marcus's little hamster Coco. Like, I love her. She's so sweet and just like adorable, and I love her. And I basically take care of her 50% of the time because he's only
of
here
course.
half the time. And Dave's like, oh my God, I hope you don't like cry when she's dead. They only like last like a year, if that. And I'm
You do know that,
like,
right?
yes, I do. But I'm like, don't talk to Coco. Let's not talk. Like, I'm like, Coco's gonna live forever. He's like, you better not cry and go like all depressed. I'm like, shut up. I'm like, I love Coco. I'm like, she's a living being. Like, and then I get like upset. And then I'm like, he's like, well, Tuco will like live long. And I'm like, oh my God. And I get all upset. And he's like, it's just a hamster. I'm like, it's not just a hamster. I'm like, it's a living being. But in my book,
Yeah.
tells you like have this like, and every animal, there's a million animals. You don't have to be an empath to love animals, right? But that's one of the huge things, is like you have like this thing with animals, and some people might feel like that strongly just about a cat or a dog, or
Sure.
something so little that people just assume are gonna die within days, weeks, months. They're just like, eh. Where I'm like, no, like she will have a funeral. No, like I'm just saying, like I have such a love and care, and like where some people are just like, why do you care? It's just a hamster. I'm like, it's not just a hamster. It breathes, it eats, it drinks.
Michelle,
It's a living being, right?
sensitive.
So I am sensitive to Coco and her survival.
It's so fortunate that you chose a particular animal that does have a very, very short lifespan. But
I
you know what?
know.
You just have to realize you're going to give Coco the best life
She's
ever.
getting the best damn life. She's living her best life.
That's right. So be happy about that.
No, but I'm not that crazy. But that's just an example. Like, I really do care for this little baby animal. She's
I
very
know. That's
sweet.
good. That's
But
very
yeah, it's funny. It's funny like what you learn about yourself over the years, and when you're doing these types of things. It was funny too because I had found some old journals, and I was like, you know what? Let me just like take a little gander here. So I was going through them, and it's funny. And they were when I first met Dave, and when I first like moved in with him, and just
Mhm.
like I remember sort of the discussions we were having, and sort of the things I wanted and maybe he didn't want, and vice versa, and just things. And it's funny. And I was reading them, and I got so emotional. I started crying, and I'm like, wow, like look how far we've come. Like, and just even like how I felt some days. And it was just like very, and it's just interesting. And now that I'm sort of tapping into these different sort of alternative therapies, it's like, oh my gosh, like this is this totally is starting to make sense now. So,
I do think, you know, 'cause something that we had talked about, you know, when counseling for some people when they're in pain, isn't maybe working, isn't making them feel like it's connecting and making them feel better. And I think, you know, us talking about alternatives and seeing different people and reading books like that or whatever, I think it's really good for people to try,
yeah.
because not one thing is going to work for everybody, but everyone's pain is pretty universal, you know, whether
Oh,
you're
for
going through it
sure.
or you've lost your partner, your partner's passed away. Like, pain is pain, but we all have different ways to deal with it. And I think it's wonderful to learn about alternatives, because
Yes.
it's going to help a lot of people in,
Yeah,
and you need to be the best version of yourself, right? So
for
however
sure.
it takes you to get there, look into these things for sure, you know, try different things. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, no, for sure. I have someone in my family who struggles with addiction, and I mean, and that's one of the things that's really hard for me. It's really hard for me. It keeps me up at night. It destroys me, and not to mention the people who are in the immediate family. Um,
Right.
and so I wish there was like a magic glitter stick that I could just say, ping, like I want you to do this, 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 and that. Because when people are trapped in these addictions, there's a lot of like, yeah, 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 like I want this, and there's a lot of intentions and no follow through. And so part of my journey in this too is trying to just get peace with that, and maybe learning how I can help in a different way. Um, because someone with addiction, I mean, everything that you want to do is opposite of what you're supposed to do. And I struggle with that. I carry a lot of rage. I carry a lot of anger. Well, maybe not rage. I'm not like off the chart. I carry a lot of anger, and I even carry a lot of guilt, because I think, wow, what could have I done better in this person's life where they wouldn't have gone down this path? So, and that's one of the biggest things I struggle with is guilt, 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 guilt.
Oh, that's interesting. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Oh yeah, like even with my father, even with my late husband, why didn't I see the signs? What could I have done better? I was his wife. I lived in his house. So these are things I continually continue
Right.
to work with, and it's gotten better. Um, but I know I'm not the only one because of the groups and the people that I've worked with. And I'll tell you, going to see a doctor and sitting and having therapy, and someone prescribing you a pill, I'm sorry, you need more. You need more, because it's in my experience, I'm no, doctor by any means, but I'm just saying in my journey, you need more. So stuff like this is really, I'm at the point in my life where I'll try anything, um, not only to help myself, but to help myself to help others,
Yeah, absolutely.
because people I love that are in situations there's no reason for them to be in. It's tough. It's tough. So as I deal with my stuff, I'm also dealing with problems of others where maybe they don't see it's a problem because they're just so far gone, right? So it's
Right.
it's it's tough.
Yeah. I
So
mean, it's so different for everybody, but I think, you know, having this sort of platform, you and I, to just sort of, we can sort of test things out, and we can, you know, let people know what has worked and what hasn't. And
mhm.
hopefully, you know, they're open. I think I've said it many times. What makes me terribly sad is thinking that there are people out there that are suffering by not getting any help. And help in that,
Yeah.
just talking to somebody, you know, just having that safe space to just, you know, unload and let them know how they're feeling. And that makes me sad. So I hope that if that's one thing that we can get across to anyone that catches this podcast, is that you really do need to reach out, you know, you really do need to ask for help, and let someone work through your stuff with you, I think.
Yeah. And I've always said it. I said it once, I'll keep saying it again. If you don't have coverage for therapy, or you're having a hard time getting into a therapist, I mean, there are options out there. You should be seeing what's available, especially where we live. We're in Canada, we're in Ontario. We're very lucky. We have a lot of resources to us. But, you know, if you're on a waiting list or you're waiting and you're going through a hard time, pick up the pen, pick up the paper, and just
Start writing.
and it's huge, and you can do whatever you want with it. I keep a lot of my stuff. You know, it's not expensive to do. You can go to Dollarama and grab a pad of paper for $1. And just write. And it's sometimes good to go back and self-reflect like I did before. Sometimes it's just someone could really piss you off one day and you just want to write exactly what you want to say to them. Throw it out, burn it, whatever. It just get pen to paper, because what's up here has to get out. And so that's the best type of therapy to start with. And then at least you can get, those are even notes that you can give to a therapist and say,
Yeah.
one of the therapists I worked with was probably one of the best in the city. She said to me, write a book, basically start writing from the moment you can remember as a child, leading up to your father, and I started and I stopped because it scared the shit out of me. And I'm not finished. Like I always tell people, my journey, this podcast isn't about, hey, I'm done, like I'm healed, let me help you. Like I'm a lot further ahead than a lot of people, but I'm also a lot further behind than others too. And there I have goals and things I want to do. And yeah, maybe there will be a book one day. Maybe it'll be just for me. Maybe it'll be out there for you. I don't know. I'm not there yet, but it's really interesting. It's really interesting. But everybody, yeah, you need to do something.
Definitely. And, you know, again, anyone listening, if they have, and we love it when they do send questions to us.
Yes.
We certainly are open to giving feedback. That's all. Like, it's just personal. We're like your girlfriends.
Yeah.
We're not therapists, but we're like your girlfriends that have a lot of experience. So
yeah, we're just not drinking today.
Pardon?
We're just not drinking today.
Oh, you know what? I'm having coffee. Like, I'm needing coffee. It's
I had I know this. That's all I had. Yeah, I was tired.
Yeah. So DX3 podcast radio at gmail.com. Our email. So death, divorce, and dating. We want questions.
Yes.
Anytime.
Any questions? I'm interested to hear about anyone who is on sort of a spiritual journey. If you, anything, it's so interesting to hear about. And I've got so much stuff. And yeah, over the weeks as I go through this, I'll definitely share more stuff. And then I'm actually going to get Kathy. I'm going to send her the information and we'll see where she.
I'm going to test.
Yeah, I'm going to be your therapist with no degree.
Okay, I love it. We're much cheaper.
Yeah, much cheaper.
All right, girl. I'm not watching anything on Netflix right now. I think it's just sort of run its course. You're probably still on Billions, so we don't even need to ask you. Thank you very much. You're too busy anyway. You're not even watching TV. You are outside in your backyard. You are playing with your pets. You are cooking. You are
going to the cottage. I actually, hold up, still haven't finished Billions. I haven't watched it for about 2 weeks now. Guess what I started watching yesterday?
What?
Oh shoot.
I have no idea.
Smothered.
Oh, it's hilarious.
I stopped watching when I saw it, literally started the show, and then I just saw the one mother, she's like, we like to share bath water, so, and then she'll be like, my bath water's still warm, dear, do you want to come in? And it's like, what the fuck?
There's another mother-daughter that they shower together.
Oh, I heard, my girlfriend told me about that one. And there's some massaging going.
Weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep watching, obviously, but
you're gonna. Yeah, I watch it. So yeah, it's weird. Okay, we'll talk about that. We'll watch some. I love it. All right, girl.
Okay.
Enjoy your weekend.
You too. I'm heading up to the cottage tomorrow, and that is that.
All right. You have a wonderful time, and I'll come up with you the next time.
Yes.
I'm inviting myself.
Okay.
What I do. Okay.
All right.
All right, everybody. Send us questions, comments. We always love hearing them. DX3 Podcast Radio. We will be back again next week for another edition. Yes.
All right. Well, have a good weekend.
You too. Cheers. Cheers with my coffee. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.